Good afternoon, Rhody Nation. We are back once again after a brief hiatus. I was traveling, went to go watch a little golf, enjoy some nice sun rays down in Miami last week, but we are back with a fantastic guest, a new member to the URI athletics sphere. Technically, put an asterisk on that because we'll probably get to that later. The newest member of the URI women's basketball program, a graduate transfer from Manhattan College. I'm joined in the studio by Dee Dee Davis. Dee Dee, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. I was literally just talking to you a moment ago, you're one of the students who I was most interested in talking to as the basketball season really approaches quickly. Yeah. I mean, because the women's basketball team, like we saw on Media Day, you guys are projected first overall in the conference poll. So much is expected of you guys as a unit. So obviously I wanted to get a little bit of just the preseason feelings and so ahead of games starting next week. So, I mean, just for starters, I mean, like, what's it been like for you since coming to Kingston? I know you've got a little bit of a history here in Rhode Island. So, I mean, just what's it been like these first couple of months?
It's been a lot, to say the least. And what I mean by that is it's a completely different world. You know, I'm not a player coming in who's been to multiple schools. I'm not a player who's ever transferred before. I have literally spent 5 seasons, my last 5 years, at one school. I put my all into that school. I came into that school with absolutely zero offers from anywhere else, and so that was really motivation for me, and I sort of said, I'm going to take this to heart for as long as I can. I'm not going anywhere. You know, this is the school that took a chance on me when things came down to it, when I got recruited, and they were essentially the only school that wanted me at the time, and so I said, however long I'm able to play college basketball, I will do it for that program. And so once I fulfilled my commitment, getting my degree essentially there at Manhattan College, my head coach and we spoke, and you know, she said, I would love if you went on and you have my blessing essentially to explore your options. And so I was able to do that, and I was able to come here to URI, and it's just been such a different world because, again, I've only been used to Manhattan College, everything Manhattan College, all things Manhattan College, and so now I'm bleeding blue, and I'm rocking and rolling with it, and I'm loving every minute of it, so it's been great.
And, I mean, you boast an incredibly impressive just career coming from Manhattan College. I mean, looking at your profile, you were all-MAC first team for 2 years, all-Met second team. You were part of the all-MAC rookie team your freshman year there. I mean, just like having gone to like a program like that, obviously the MAC is, when you look at mid-major programs, mid-major conferences, the MAC is usually like toward the middle to lower end of that mid-major spectrum. But so then kind of going to a school like that, becoming a part of a program like that, what's that sort of like in comparison? Just like, obviously you've only been here for a little bit, but there have to be some major differences in terms of how the programs are run.
Absolutely, you hit it right on the head. Absolute major differences. I noticed that since day one. I mean, for starters, everything seems to be bigger and brighter here, and that's not essentially why I came here. That was not the end-all, be-all for me. But it's really a new world in terms of just how strategic everyone is here, how everyone moves. Like I said, campus is much bigger. There are so much more people around, and I think that here, essentially, this is no disrespect to my old school, but the coaching staff, they seem to be really, really about their business in ways that I can't even begin to describe. I'm really glad to be a part of this group, and I'm so grateful that Coach Reiss chose me to come here. But you're right, there are some innate differences between here and Manhattan College.
And so in terms of choosing you to come here, it's funny that you sort of bring that up. I mean, let's turn the clock back a little bit. You're a high school basketball player, a successful one at that, at Truman, I believe it's Truman High School out in the Bronx, and really starting to just sort of assert yourself on the scene. And then URI comes calling. Years before any of this ends up happening, URI comes calling. And you told this story on Media Day, so I'll give you the chance to talk about it now. But I mean, just like sort of walk me through just sort of right place, wrong time situation.
Exactly. Let's go back to 17-year-old Dee Dee. I'm in high school at Truman High School, like you said. I am racking up an immense amount of offers. I mean, I'm getting offered from all kinds of places, and it's a great feeling. You know, any high school athlete knows what that's like, to open the mail and you've got a bunch of letters of interest from all kinds of schools across the country. And then I tore my ACL, which was very, very devastating, and I no school stayed in contact with me. And the school that I liked the most was URI. That was the school that really wowed me. And I actually attended an elite camp here, I believe that summer or the summer before my junior year. And I remember calling family. I remember calling friends. I'm sure I probably posted about it on social media. I was all for URI, all things URI, and I was just really excited to just have been shown interest by such a great school because it fit all of my criteria. The amount of people on campus, what they offered academically, it just all seemed to float my boat. And then the distance as well was good for me. And they actually stopped reaching out, and I really reached out to them, and I was very thorough, and I said, listen, you guys haven't been calling me. What's going on? I love your school. That's established. I know that. You guys know that. I thought you guys loved me. Let's do this. I want to sign before you can recant or take anything back. And I guess it was too late. They let me know that they actually got a grad transfer, a transfer guard from, I can't remember the school, but that really broke me mentally, and I was super sad about that. And I really had no offers at that point, but my high school coach, John Burke, who was the women's basketball coach at Truman High School at the time. He's like a father figure to me till this day. He practically begged Manhattan College to take me. He said, listen, I know a coach there. If it's the last thing that I do, I'm going to get you to play at the Division I level. I don't know where it's at, but I'm going to take a shot on you. Hopefully someone else does as well. And so he reached out to Manhattan College. He said, please take this girl. She's great. She's a good kid. She does well in school. She works hard. You know, she's unfortunately probably deemed injury prone right now, but she's a good kid at the end of the day, and she'll turn your program into something special if you give her the time, space, and opportunity. And they did just that. And so stopped hearing from literally every school who contacted me, and Manhattan said sure. They offered me a scholarship. I took it, and now I'm here today with you.
It must have been truly demoralizing to lose a lot of those offers. I mean, you see, like, through a number of the interviews that I've done, you talk to a lot of kids that went through COVID during that senior year when COVID hit. They were in the middle of recruiting, and then all recruiting stopped. You talk about sort of that, but you don't really hear that many people like getting that severe of an injury right at the cusp of hitting the collegiate level. I mean, on just a mental note, how were you able to bounce back from that? Like, both in the midst of your recovery and then kind of when it all was said and done and the dust settled with Manhattan?
Lots of support. I think it was lots of support from my peers and, you know, my coach, John Burke, like I mentioned, the head coach at Truman, my high school at the time. He was with me for every doctor's appointment, every visit. I had some very best friends who I'm still friends with until this day, who really just kept my head up, and they just kept me in high spirits, positive spirits. But it was really, really hard at the time because I felt like, man, no one wants me, really. Like, you know, I felt like I was a decent player. Again, I worked hard. I got good grades. I'm not a headache to anybody. I still hope people think that. But yeah, to just have people sort of back out and sort of turn their backs and say, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. It's a business, and I get that. I really do. But to have no one calling me was definitely pretty tough. But I had a lot of good people in my corner that I still have until this very day.
And so then you talked about how when you decided to go to Manhattan, you were like, all right, this is what I'm going to say. They were the ones who put their neck on the line and gave me a chance. But when you arrived your freshman year, did you arrive in Manhattan with a bit of a chip on your shoulder? Like, okay, now because all of these offers were rescinded, I've got a bit of a point to prove, as like, I'm not that injury-prone player that these schools assumed of me. I'm the player that they should have stuck with.
Absolutely, and I 100% came in with that mindset, especially because I didn't come in as the top recruit. You know, I didn't come in and have people, you know, I wasn't turning people's heads. I didn't have people, coaches talking about me. I came in with a decent class. That 2018 summer, or that 2018 summer, I came in with 4 other players, I believe, and they were all players who were decently recruited, and again, I was not that. And so absolutely, I came in with the mindset of listen, I have no stars next to my name. I'm not highly wanted. I'm not, you know, anything special, I feel, in anybody else's eyes. So I sort of had to look at myself that way. I sort of had to just wake up and put my head down, and I wanted to be that. That's really what my mindset was coming into college. I want to be that player. I want to be the player that gets people to turn heads, not only for them but for me. And so I did. I worked very, very hard, and it's safe to say out of that group, again, we're all friends, everyone that I came in with, but I was the one who lasted. You know, we had some people who dropped out. We had some people who transferred, stayed, did my 4 years at Manhattan. I obviously redshirted, so I did 5 years there technically, and now I am, again, the only one still playing college basketball out of that group. And so I take pride in that.
Yeah, it's a testament to your resiliency. I mean, when you look at just sort of your excerpt talking about your freshman year, unanimous selection for the MAC all-rookie team, and you'd only played 23 games because you had gotten hurt again. Just that's another thing you don't really see that often, is that you get 2 severe injuries back-to-back, and even in spite of the accolades you get during that season and just how well you played, coming from, all right, losing the offers, getting hurt, fighting back, really playing well, but then you get hurt again. What's that mental? How big of a hit does your mental state take when something like that happens to you?
That's actually funny. Maya asked me that this morning. We actually were talking about, I have no idea how we got on the topic, but she was sort of asked me, how tough was that for you coming back from your second ACL injury, and was it harder than the first? And that's really funny that you asked me that right now. But I would say it was tough, but not as tough as the first one. So I think that I was in a much better place. I was much better equipped to deal with the injury because I had done it before. So I sort of knew what I had ahead of me. I knew what I had going for myself.
Was it a complete tear?
It was a complete tear. Both were, yeah. They were a complete tear, and so I feel like if you ask anyone who's ever torn the ACL, they will say you are not yourself that first year coming back, but the following year is usually your year to shine. And so being that I tore my ACL my junior year in high school, I knew my senior year would be a process, but I thought, man, my freshman year in college, that's going to be the year that I'll shine. And it was, but unfortunately I tore it. I tore my other leg again, and so it was really, really tough. But I knew what to expect, so I think that in a way, I was grateful that I had went through it before, because I don't know if I would have been as equipped to go through that in a college space if I didn't go through it already in high school.
And so then you're coming off of an exceptionally, just a very strong freshman year. You get hurt, and then you have to redshirt. You don't really see that happen that often, where you've got freshmen coming in, play really, really well, and then redshirt the next year because you obviously want to capitalize on the momentum and so on. So then you're taking that year to rehab, to get back into the lab and really enhance yourself as a basketball player. And then you come in to your following year and really sort of explode. You get second team honors, you're averaging 12 and a half points per game, and just really playing well. You're starting to grow into that guard you expect yourself to be. Just what was that year kind of like? Because now you're like, all right, this is a full year, first full year in a while playing basketball, and I'm now starting to show my stuff to everybody that watches, all the coaches that passed on me, all the coaches that believe in me. Just what was that feeling like after that first full year?
It was great. I felt like I was sort of back, because again, if you are someone who's torn your ACL before, it's, at least for the majority of people that I ask, myself included, you are not 100% back that first year. That first year that you sort of get cleared, and those months after that, I've never felt, both times I've done it, I have not felt like I was myself 100%. It's always the following year. And so, like you said, tearing my ACL and then redshirting that redshirt year, that was the year for preparation. So I was very excited for that year. I thought this is great. It's probably the best thing that's happened to me. I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to redshirt, because I knew that after I got cleared, I still wouldn't be playing my best basketball yet. And so I was able to do that. And the following year, the year that you're talking about, I felt good. It felt really, really good to be back. And I knew that the best was yet to come.
And so then as you're just sort of moving on your career, the injuries have subsided, and now you're able to play consistent basketball, and you're really starting to become a very consistent, high potent offense scorer. First team All-MAC your senior year, your fourth year, and then preseason MAC Player of the Year, and then making first team All-MAC again your final year in Manhattan. Just as you're sort of maturing into this more senior player that's been around, obviously, like you've known all the struggles, like almost all the struggles a player could possibly go through, you've been able to understand them. So just as one of those veteran players in the locker room, were coaches sort of looking to you to really mentor the new people coming in basically every way possible?
Yes, I think so, absolutely. And it's a sign of respect, I think, which I really appreciated. But it's sometimes you just have to focus on not losing yourself, because you want to extend yourself, you want to help other people, but at the same time you also have to keep your head and try your best to continue to grow and be a sponge, just try your best to absorb all that you can. And so absolutely, I think coaches really look toward me. I was a captain on that team for I think the last 2, maybe 3 years, so I definitely got looked to for some leadership often, whether that was on the court or off, which I really appreciated, because that kind of, when people rely on you in that way, that's not just a basketball thing. That's an in-life thing. And so, with myself, I actually want to go into law enforcement once I'm done. The things that I've learned in basketball in terms of leadership skills and accountability and holding others accountable and things like that, responsibility, etc., those easily transition into not only the field of law enforcement, but just into everyday life. These are skills that every well-functioning adult should have, and I've been grateful to learn that through the game of basketball.
What's made you want to go into law enforcement?
I have a lot of family that's in law enforcement to begin with. I always have, and so since I was a little girl, actually, I've always known, I love basketball so much, but I do want to be a cop. I do want to be a detective eventually, a lieutenant, captain, sergeant, etc. And so that's always been the end all be all for me. And so, as I make my way through school, basketball has always been the focus. But in terms of academics, I've always geared my schooling towards law and law enforcement.
Was Manhattan a good school in terms of the offerings for that sort of stuff?
It was, yes, it was. I really appreciated the sociology program, which I studied in, had, I would say, more law classes that I knew that I was signing up for, and it was a really good thing because, again, I was able to know, luckily. Sometimes people come in and they don't really know what they want to do, you're undecided or things like that, which is completely fine. But when I entered college, I knew that I wanted to gear my academics to the field of law and law enforcement, and so for me to be able to just hop in their sociology department, which again has many contacts through either the 50th precinct, which is a precinct not too far from Manhattan College's campus. I was able to take on so many learning opportunities there, internship things, just all kinds of work that I was able to do that I'm not sure I would have been able to do if I was anywhere else, because I'm not sure that any other school has a precinct so close that has so many alum that have been to that very school. So
that's fascinating. I mean, I'm learning so much more about your character and stuff, and this is really fascinating.
Yeah, it was great.
To kind of just pivot back over to the sporting aspect of this, one thing that I was noticing is that in the MAC, Manhattan was exceptionally competitive. I mean, you look in 2021, 22, you guys made it to the championship game. You consistent deep runs into like a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah.
Having taken part in games like that, knowing the expectations that come with a program like what we have here at URI, how do you feel like you can take the lessons from those playoff runs at Manhattan and translate them over to success here in Kingston?
Well, this is a successful place to begin with. So I'm coming into an atmosphere that's already based on success, so to speak. I was at Manhattan trying my best. Our teams were trying their best to get there, to get to the top. Like you said, we were very competitive. We were very challenging. But coming here, they've won. This is a team that knows what championships and success feels like. And so, as I step into this role, I have the knowledge of what it takes to get there, as I've been able to be a part of teams that have really got to the championship game, but we've never been able to finish, at least for the years that I was there. So again, coming to URI, they've done it. They've won the championship before last year, and we're trying to do it again this year. And so I'm not looking to be on a team where we do the things that I've done at Manhattan, which is get to the championship game and not get the job done. That's why I came here, to get the job done and to finally put a lid on that.
And so then you touched upon it a little bit before when you talked about after your final year in Manhattan, you had that sort of discussion with your head coach, and where he gave you the blessing to assess your options. But what truly drove you to want to continue looking further? Because you had obviously played the 5 years in Manhattan. You had dedicated 5 years of your life, and you clearly have some serious aspirations beyond college, beyond basketball. So, I mean, what was truly the driving force that made you want to continue?
For the last 2 years, like you mentioned before, we fell short in the championship game. We made it there. We've done all the right things. One of those years was a very, very successful year. We made it all the way, and we unfortunately lost in the championship. The other one of those years, it was not a great year, but we still pulled it together. We got to the championship game, to the title game, and we lost it. And so coming to a place like URI, once again, they're winners. They know how to put it together. And so I was really looking for that. And, like you said, my coach and I at Manhattan, we have a great relationship. And so when she gave me the blessing, obviously at her as a coach, we had a really, really tight relationship, a really strong relationship, a strong bond. And she goes, of course, I don't want you to leave, but as a mother figure, if you desire, if you feel what we have here is not what you desire, it's not what's getting the job done for you personally, then you've got to be the strong independent woman that you are, and look for a team or a place that can do that. And I looking out there, URI seemed like the place to be. And so I was very happy when Coach Reiss and staff welcomed me, because that's really my goal. I want to be a winner. I want to put it all together, and at the end of the day, if you don't do that, nobody cares. What matters is championship. What matters is winning. And so I came here to do that.
And that's definitely a sentiment that's held by the entire coaching staff. I mean, the players obviously know it, but as a journalist, when you go and talk to coaches like Coach Reiss and Coach Schoenecker, and you hear the energy, like in their voice, you hear the energy, you hear how excited they get when they talk about like, say, you joining the team, like the energy that Coach Reiss brings to a press conference when she's talking about like you and Tisha Hyman joining this program. I remember I had asked Coach Reiss, I was like, are you comfortable with this team? How do you feel with this team? And she said, this is the first time in 5 to 6 years I have a team that plays my style of basketball. Completely. And it's something that's so exciting to hear, as not even just a journalist, but as a fan. Like, this is the type of energy that you want your head coach to bring, especially after winning a regular season title. Like, you're not satisfied. You want to just keep going. And it's something that I feel like that it's a sentiment you obviously hold. You're never satisfied until the job is fully done, and then even then you want more.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
And so I mean, just like once you kind of have that frame of mind, you have that mindset, you get the blessing to leave, you hop in the transfer portal. How quick of a decision was it to come here, or were there other schools in the mix? Just what was that whole process like for you?
It was a whirlwind. It was unbelievable. Again, I've never transferred before. I've had a lot of teammates in and out of Manhattan College who have, so they sort of gave me some advice before I went in there. And one of my teammates, before leaving, she said, listen, it's a lot. So I didn't really know what she meant by that, but boy was she right. There was days where I was on the phone from when I woke up until when I went to sleep. My phone, nonstop ringing, which is a good feeling, because again, coming into college, I didn't have that. My phone was not ringing, it was absolutely no noise about me. There was nobody who really wanted me, essentially. And so entering the portal and just seeing the amount of love that I was able to receive from coaches, again, I think it was just a sign of respect that I really appreciated. And my wife, actually I'm married, my wife, she's the best. I'm sure you'll see her at every game. I love you, honey. But she actually made me an Excel sheet of, one, every school that's contacted me, but two, in certain colors. She color-coded it on the schools that I had really, really liked, the schools that I had the most amount of interest in, and then the schools that were sort of, they're all right. In two different in purple and yellow, I believe. And so there were a decent amount of schools, a decent amount of A10 schools that reached out that I was appreciative for and appreciative of, as I've had friends who've played on those teams in previous years. But the thing that really sold it for me for URI, like you said, the energy. It's unmatched. I mean, listen, if there are any coaches out there who need some advice in recruiting, I mean, Coach Reiss, you've got to hit her up, because she just has this swag about her that's just like, man, I want to be a part of that. Like, what's going on over there? So that's really what did it for me. And not to mention, I wanted to come here all along. I just got denied the first time. And I should mention, it was not by this coaching staff. When Coach Reiss and this staff and Coach Schoenecker reached out, I sort of said, absolutely not. You guys sort of gave up on me. No way I'm going there. But it was a completely different staff.
Yeah, Coach Reiss and her staff, I believe, took over a year and a half after. It was after that.
That sounds about right.
So yeah, brand new coaching staff, brand new energy, just brand new everything.
Everything.
all new vibes for the women's basketball team. But it's so funny because like when we were at the Hoop Fest, we can all admit did not have as big of a crowd as some people would have hoped. I mean, it's how it is. It's just sort of the environment right now, especially coming off of where the men's team were, because the women's team is really starting to become a big attractor, but it's still like the men's team is also a big one, and a lot of people like hesitant with the men's team. It's a big. There's a lot of change. There's still a lot of change with the women's team, but with the success last year,
absolutely
different viewpoint. But so there weren't that many people, but it doesn't matter. You can have 5 people in the Ryan Center, and Tammy Reiss is screaming.
She's screaming at you.
Exactly.
She's got you fired up.
And it's so awesome to see. And I mean, I have to imagine that she brings some of that energy to practice.
You know what? She not only brings it to practice, she brings it after practice. She brings it before practice. She brings it on the phone if she calls you. I mean, she's something else. And for me, another attractor for me coming here was, there's a difference between a coach who is a coach and they simply coach. That's their job. But there's a difference between that coach who just has coached before, they never played, and a coach who's played, and specifically a coach who's played at your position. And so for me, coming in as a point guard, to have Coach Reiss, who is so enthusiastic about that point guard position, because she is a point guard, so it's really, really nice to have her understand. She understands what I feel, she gets what I feel, and that's a really, really good thing to have a coach who understands you like that, because I've been coached by a lot of people, and again, there are coaches who have not played and they can't really relate. They just sort of see it from their perspective. And then there are coaches who are like, no. When I was a player, I understood this is what happened, and that's what happened, so I can relate to you. And she is someone who can relate to her players. Not only just a guard, she can relate to the post as well. But her being a guard is really, it was a really good situation for me to come into.
Instant, I ended up asking you this on Media Day, but this question has stuck with me so much because I feel like this is an underappreciated asset that people will look back on. If you guys are as successful as people expect, people are going to look back on this. You look at, oh my god, her name is slipping me. The graduate student, Emma Squires. Emma Squires. Emma. I am Emma. If you were listening to this, I am so sorry. I still love you, but Emma, graduating last year, an integral part of that championship team last year, then coming back as a graduate assistant. I mean, we talked about this on Media Day. I had the chance to talk to Coach Reiss about it on during the Hoop Fest about how big of an impact she brings as someone who has most recently played as recently as last year. I mean, just kind of share with me again and share with everyone listening just how big of an impact it is to have someone who has been that fresh off the court now on the staff.
Well, I tell you this, she's still on the court, all right, because she gives us buckets every day in practice. So she's still very much on the court helping us out in practice. But it's everything. That insight is very, very important because, like you said, this is someone who suited up how many months ago for this very team. She knows the ins and the outs. So she's very, very helpful. And like I said, she gives us buckets. So that's frustrating sometimes in practice. But she's been integral to what we have done and to what's to come as well.
And I mean, it's injecting that coaching staff with that even more of that young flair. It's a young coaching staff already.
Yeah, that's a good word.
And I feel like that adds to the vibe. That adds to the aura around this team. Because you see a lot of perennial programs where a lot of the coaching staff, there's definitely a much greater disconnect in terms of age.
Absolutely.
But you look at this staff.
No.
A lot of younger faces. Yep. A lot of people that you can relate to.
Absolutely. And it's important.
Yeah. How big is that relation?
It's very big, and again, listen, coaches come in all shapes, sizes, ages, but when you have someone who is almost the same age, we're the same age probably, and then not only Emma, but the other coaches, Coach Schoenecker, their spirit, Coach Reiss, her spirit is 23. Her spirit is the same age as me, so it's a fun thing because what happens is you feel loose. You feel like, oh man, I don't need to be tense around my coach. She's chill. I have a very chill coach. I have someone who I can relate to. I have someone who understands me. So it becomes an environment where you can sort of lay back a bit versus being so tense around your head coach. And I know what that's like. Head coaches or any coaches for that matter, you definitely want to be on your best behavior for them. They've brought you here for a reason. You're very appreciative and grateful for them. But I can say in terms of our coaching staff, it's just like one big family. Everybody's super chill, so I'm grateful for that.
And you have that sort of environment, but the expectations are still there.
Oh, absolutely.
And you talked about deciding on URI because you wanted to win, and it's a culture of winners. But as someone new coming into the fold, where you even said it yourself, where you've come that close to glory, but it's not being able to attain it at that last hurdle.
Yeah.
How do you manage the expectations of being that? Obviously, you're the new girl on the block, but your experience. Yeah. You come in with a plethora of experience, a plethora of basketball knowledge. Coming into an environment where they're expected to win and win convincingly, how do you manage that?
I don't. I tell you right now, I don't. I'm not worried about that. We're not worried as a group. We're not worried about anybody else's expectations. We get up, we wake up, we put our right foot in front of our left, we work hard, we do it together, and that's that. The rest will take care of itself. We're not worried about, even today, we were picked, we got the news, we were picked first, which is amazing. We're so happy. But all that means is we've got the biggest target on our backs. We're not worried about where we're picked. We're not worried about preseason awards. We're not worried about things like that, expectations, you name it. It doesn't matter. When you have a group who is as hungry as this group, things like that don't matter. And so I'm here to tell you right now, we're not worried about that. We're just gonna work hard, which is all we can rely on. That's really all we have to rely on to propel us forward, and the rest will take care of itself.
And that's the perfect mindset. But I always ask, every player I always want to get this, outside of the team sphere, especially as someone new to the program, do you yourself have any personal aspirations that you want to achieve? Because you're going to be here for a year. You want to make the most of it. You want to be as successful as possible. Do you have any personal aspirations that you want to achieve, outside of the quintessential winning the championship and so on?
Yes, I do, and it's written down all over my personal things, in my phone, in my apartment. That's to help my team be as successful as I can, no matter what that looks like. And every day that is different. It looks different every day in practice. Some days I'm going to be that person that's just screaming, giving energy, giving lots of love taps, high five, jumping up and down, yelling crazy things, just being that energy that I can, the Energizer Bunny. Other days it's trying to be more of a leader. Other days it's maybe being a little more quiet, but being a little more focused mentally, being more of a sponge, being a pick-me-up person. I don't care. Whatever that looks like, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to be. So, yeah, my goal for myself this season is to do whatever I can. If it's in my power, I want to do it to help my team be as successful as possible.
It's so great hearing these sort of things, because prior to doing this, I obviously had spoken to Coach Reiss about during all the different press conferences stuff where she talks about her philosophy in terms of the transfer portal and the type of people she looks for, and where you don't just look for the best basketball player. No. You want to find people that will enhance the culture, enhance the team, and enhance everybody on a personal level. And you've got all those characteristics from what I'm gathering.
Thank you.
And but it's so fascinating to see all of those actions and all of the stuff that she strives for being truly put into action. I'm excited to meet Tisha. I figure that she holds all of those characteristics and qualities as well. And I mean, she's another player that's successful at another school, coming into an environment like this. What's it been like just sort of working with her, knowing that the two of you are in a very similar situation, both being very experienced transfers coming into this program?
It's Tisha's. She's very funny. You'll see that when you meet her, whenever that may be. I think Tisha keeps people laughing. She has a sense of humor about her that's unmatched, and I surely appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like I'm a bit too serious, and sometimes a lot of us on the team, we get so caught up in just wanting to be great, wanting to work hard, wanting to put our heads down to be the best we can be. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need to chill out a bit, and Tisha definitely brings lots of good energy. She jokes all the time. She's full of laughter. So it's definitely been great working with her. And again, we're very similar. The coaches, I mean, we're like, how when you're younger, I don't know if you've had a sibling, but man, they mix our names up so bad every single day. Teach Dee Dee, one of you. So we're just like, oh man, it happens a lot. So we understand. We're very similar. And we've been playing some really good basketball together, and so we're just focused on that, And like you said, managing the expectations, just doing our best to play off one another and just bring what we can to this program.
And I mean, it must help the adjustment too. I mean, not that you really need to truly adjust like crazy, because obviously you're very mature. You've been around the block in terms of just how these sort of programs work and stuff. But just having someone else kind of in the trenches with you doing the same thing must really be helpful on the mental front as well, because that's obviously the physical front is one thing, but the mental front, that's, you got to make sure that you're clear up there, especially ahead of the season too.
Yeah, because the other 3 new people are freshmen, so if it was just me or if it was just Tisha, we'd sort of be in that lone boat of, okay, this is just a new transfer, but there are 2 of us, so we're not outnumbered,
And so, and like you said, 3 freshmen coming in, 3 freshman recruits. Have you kind of looked to them to try and help them adjust as you yourself are adjusting?
Well, absolutely, but they helped me. Sure, I look to them. I'm sorry, they look to me, but I definitely look to them. I can say that for anybody on the team. Coach Reiss has this policy of, in my mind, I title it the I don't care policy. She doesn't care how old you are. She doesn't care your grade. No, nobody cares. Like, you come in, you produce, you play hard, you're a leader, you're vocal. Those are all great attributes and characteristics to have. So nobody's going to say, well, she's a freshman. This team doesn't work that way. So I learned so much from Eva, Big Soph, never the little, and Katie. I learned so much from them all the time, and they're also a very, very funny group. They're a very funny bunch, lots of jokes, especially Big Soph. But yeah, doesn't matter. It's not like they're freshmen, they need to be taught X, Y, and Z. We all do, because at the end of the day, Tisha and I are new as well. So in a way, we're all in the same boat in terms of learning. But sure, we teach them as upperclassmen a lot, but they also are very knowledgeable and they're very advanced for their age as well.
It seems like that all of you have just sort of assimilated into this group flawlessly. I mean, my next question was really going to be like, how has it been really becoming sisters with these girls? Like, you guys are all, like you described it, it's all one big family, and it's like just coming into this, obviously, like, you walked up here with Sophie Phillips. Sophie Phillips has been on the show before. I mean, like, you were probably like, when Michaela reached out to you, you probably wanted, oh, I've never met this guy before. Like, this is definitely a new one. But like, even having someone on the team that's been in situations like this right now, what's like, how helpful is it just to have these people sort of mentor you or not mentor you, but just sort of ease you into like the URI lifestyle?
It's been a difference maker. I think as soon as, like you said, Michaela reached out and talked about you in your interview in your show, and I was of course honored, but the first thing that goes off is, I don't know, what is he like, what kind of questions will I be asked? So P goes, so P goes, absolutely, I'll take you, I'll walk you over, how about I drive with you over? And he's really chill, giving me the rundown on you, and I'm like, she's just that kind of person. People are they just overextend themselves here, and it's just a really, really nice environment to be in, because it's like, it's not so much of I, me. It's like, I know Dee Dee's gonna go over there and talk about this team in a light that makes people just sort of turn their heads like, oh my God, I want to be a part of that, and so she's very selfless. I think that everybody on this team, we have some really, really selfless people, which is what you want, and it goes back to your point about Coach Reiss not recruiting the best player, so to speak. She's recruiting the best person, and we have a lot of good people on this team.
And so then, in terms of just the change from Manhattan to URI, we've talked the basketball change, just like a cultural change. What's the difference has been like for you? How have you adjusted to just sort of the campus life? I mean, URI, vastly different area than Manhattan. I mean, you're close to the city, you're close to that whole environment, then you go out to Rhode Island. Really, campus kind of in the middle of nowhere, near the beach. Weather's a little bit nicer. Yeah. Not by that much, but a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially during the fall and the spring, and you'll experience that after the season next year. But I mean, just
forward.
But what's the adjustment period been like for you, just as a student in general?
Well, I'm still going through it. It's been fine so far, because then I have people like Sophie who come and get me, and she's like, okay, you need to be over there, not over there, or your next meeting or whatever is in this building, not that building. So I'm still adjusting, definitely, but it's made such a difference having my teammates. They're so selfless, and I appreciate that, because this campus is pretty big. Manhattan College is not big at all. It's a small Catholic LaSallian school, like you said, close to the city, but it's tiny. I mean, you run into the same people over and over and over again, and here, if I make a right, you may not see me again until tomorrow. And so it's really been cool having my teammates just help me out so much in terms of where I need to be. And like you said, there's so much more people here. Also, we have a football team, which is great. Manhattan College did not have that. So it's nice to see them, and so be in the training room with them. And I've just been liking it, so to speak. I've just been liking it because it's just a new environment. It's a change in pace, and I'm one for changing of pace.
That's fantastic. I know the university really strives to do that, really strives to create a strong community where athletes can just come in and feel welcome, feel assimilated. I spoke to the athletic director 2 weeks ago, and we were kind of touching upon this, where that's the community that they really strive to create through like investment and really trying to provide the best possible resources for students on campus. So it's really cool that as someone of your age, your maturity, being able to come into an environment like this and really like sort of find yourself comfortable. It's very neat to hear.
I'm a little too comfortable.
Well, there's truly nothing wrong with that. I feel like that's probably honestly best for the team. You're comfortable. You're not nervous about anything. You're able to play your basketball and do your thing. I feel like that's ideally what Coach Reiss wants out of you.
Yeah, I'm in a good spot.
And so, completely changing over from basketball, this is a topic that I've really wanted to discuss when I first heard about you. You are 23 years old.
I am.
You are married.
I'm married. I'm actually the only player in our program I'm the only person in our program who is married.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I take great pride in that. Yes, I met my wife at Manhattan College, which is another reason why I'm so grateful for that place. Always will be. And she is awesome. She's a stay-at-home wife. That's just her title right now. We are blessed enough to be able to do that. Like I said, you'll see her at every game. She's just the sweetest person you will ever meet. Sometimes I tell her she's too sweet. It's like unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's just like overwhelmingly sweet. I'm like, man, where'd you come from? But she's awesome, and she really keeps me steady and humble and grounded, and she's just the best.
How did you meet her?
I met her at school. I met her in a kinesiology course because I had to take, I believe it was some elective, and now, mind you, I study law. I study law enforcement classes, police and society, sociology classes, things of that nature, things that involve the law and law enforcement. And I needed an elective, however, of just something that was not that. Yeah. And so my academic advisor recommends this kinesiology class for me, and I said, are you crazy? Absolutely. I don't even know what that means. No, there's no way I want to take that. I'll take another elective, please. And she goes, I really think you'll enjoy this class, but I'll make you a deal. If you don't like it, go through syllabus week, the first week of school. If you do not like it, if you absolutely hate it, the first class, come back to me and we'll talk. You got it. I'll take you out. We'll give you something else before the week's over. But if there's anything you find interesting at all, I want you to give it a chance. Sure enough, my wife sat in front of me, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna stay in this class.
There we go. So interesting. Oh my gosh. Well, that's funny. I feel like you know the amount of people that can probably relate to that story.
Definitely.
Like I find myself having to take a bunch of gen eds because I'm on the verge of finishing my major and finishing my minor for in next semester. So I'm going to be taking a number of gen eds. So who knows? Maybe I can meet my future wife in my next gen ed. But,
best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. But I mean, just like how quickly does a relationship like that truly materialize? Because I mean, again, you're a college athlete, you're still very young, you've got a lot of these career aspirations beyond the sporting world, and then you decide to get married.
I did.
And then it's just like, how do you come to a decision like that?
I mean, that was a decision that I had prayed for as long as I've known how to pray. I remember being little, just saying, God, I would love it if you could place someone in my life who is kind, who's funny, who's a good person, and that's about it. That's all I'd like, So if that comes my way, I'll never lose it. Just please grant me the opportunity to just meet someone that way. And I'm not, no kidding. I've asked for that from the good Lord for as long as, I don't know, the age you start asking for a partner in life. And so once I met her, I knew instantly, like, okay, wow. She's everything that I've ever prayed for. She's so kind. She's amazing. She's smart, humble, down to earth. And so we met when we were 18, and I'm now 23. And so we've been together for a couple of years, and we just got married in May. It's October. We got married in May, and that was after, it felt like 10 years of being together. It felt like we had known each other for a very, very long time. We've been through a lot together. Her mom actually passed away on Thanksgiving of last year, So that was definitely tough, going through that. She had cancer, but her mom really was just another mother to me, So just being able to embrace her warmth and her presence, it was unbelievable to be around. And I got it. I was like, man, this is where this comes from, because her mom was just the best person that I'd ever met. And so, she'd been with me through tearing my ACL and just sitting with me through that redshirt year in the gym with me as I'm working to get better and things like that. Every internship opportunity, every job, every class, every course, every game, everything. I mean, the year I didn't play, she came to every single game. I wasn't playing, but she was there because she knew that that's what I believed in, and she wanted to be a part of that just because I did. And so, yeah, we've been together since essentially our freshman years, and we've been inseparable since. She's my absolute best friend, and again, you'll meet her. She's I'm not doing her justice right now in my explanation of her. She is awesome.
That sounds like fate. That sounds like destiny.
I don't deserve this. I really don't. I'm very lucky. I go to an amazing school. I get to meet amazing people like you. I have no complaints. When people ask me how I am, I just beam ear from ear. I'm great. I'm amazing. I'm blessed. Life is good, and I'm in a good situation.
That's incredible. And I mean, just when you decide to get married in May, you had already had the conversation with the coaches to transfer and everything, but like whole different conversation having to talk to your wife saying, hey, hold on, we've got married, but wait a second, I'm going back to school. Like, we're playing another season of basketball. She seems exceptionally supportive, and I have to imagine she was supportive of this decision, but what was that conversation like with her now that you guys were officially married?
She actually was not the biggest basketball fan before we got together. Not that she wasn't a big fan, she just didn't really, I guess, watch it often. But when we got together, she's such an academic person. She's so intellectual in terms of anything she can read about, she will. And so basketball for her was so complex but so interesting because there's 1,000 moving parts if you just look at a basketball game. And so she really wanted to just learn how the game worked and operates, the ins and the outs, foul calls, travels, you name it. And so when I got to my last year at Manhattan, we started talking about transferring. She was like, this is great, absolutely, I get to see you play basketball some more. Like, this is awesome. So she was like, listen, I don't care if it's at the D3 level. I just want to watch you play basketball. I just want to watch basketball. So she was absolutely supportive. She was just my number one fan. She always is. Again, she comes to all the games. She's very supportive. She's actually, Soph P actually lent her, I think, a book called The Inheritance not too long ago. So it's like, not only do I have great teammates, they have absolutely embraced my wife. And I come around, if she's in the state, because we live in Connecticut, she's talking to my teammates before I get there. She's talking to them about books and practice and whatnot before I even come in the room. So it's just been a really, really nice thing. And she's been definitely super supportive.
Well, for anybody listening that are possibly looking to get married or they've been married for years, it sounds like that's how you got to be. That sounds like the model partner right there. That's the excellence you should strive for.
Absolutely.
Instead, I mean, even going beyond that, you said you live in Connecticut. You guys live together. Do you own a house?
We own a house.
Oh my God. Still okay. College, sixth year. Sixth year college, playing Division I basketball. Married, has a house. And then you said this to me. You have a horse?
I have a horse.
You have a horse.
I'm telling you, I live a fairy tale. It's unbelievable.
How did you come about getting a horse?
So actually, my wife's dad, which shout out to you. I love you, Dad. His birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. His very good friend, Linda, she's had this friend that he's known for a lifetime. She basically knows someone who breeds horses and whatnot, and so her horse, it's her horse. His name is Rossi, and we are with him all the time. We fell in love with him, so now he's our boy. And so she's really just taught us the ins and the outs of what it means to be a horse owner, what it means to love an animal that is quite literally X amount of your body weight. Like, I'm not sure if you've ever been around a horse. It is the most humbling thing. They are huge, and I feel so small around him, but I'm like, I'm the one in charge, so let me figure out how to let you know that, because they just have this sort of therapeutic nature about them. If they don't want to do something, they're not. In a way, they're sort of stubborn animals, but they're beautiful animals, and they're very majestic. And again, I think that they have very much healing souls and healing energy. And so, just having him and just owning a horse has just been a really, really fun experience. But it takes a lot of work. And shout out to my wife. She's with him now, I'm pretty sure. She's there every day. It's an everyday thing, by the way. So when we're not home, when she's not in Connecticut, it's definitely tough. But we manage.
Are you raising it just to have? Are you raising it to race? Or
Just a companion is what we say. I'm pretty sure my wife's looking to get another one in the spring after the season. Again, just a companion to have. It's the kind of person she is. I'm sure she wants some chickens as well, but I'm not a big fan of chickens. I'm sure they're awesome. They're awesome animals, but I think the horse will do it. And we also have a dog and 2 cats, if you'll believe.
There you go. You have every box checked over there.
We have a good life.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, just like you seem like the model player that Tammy Reiss is looking for. Like the mold of who she wants is what I'm seeing right now.
Well, she's a model coach, so thank you.
Yeah, and so I know for one, I have to imagine I speak for almost everybody that's a fan of URI women's basketball that we are exceptionally excited. I think just media day yesterday got all of us extremely excited.
Yeah.
I think the expectations are going to be high.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact, but I mean they're nothing. The expectations that we impose are 10 times lower than what Coach Reiss expects. So I feel like you guys are definitely up for the task there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct.
And so, I mean, once again, Dee Dee, this was an incredible experience. I have learned so much, and this is just one. I'm able to look at this season through a bit of a different lens. I've now been able to speak to so many members of this team and have just gotten a view into just how this works, how a championship program works, and I'm now just so excited to watch you guys flourish. It's going to be fantastic.
It is. It's strap up. It's going to be a ride.
And so to everybody listening, the women's basketball team kick off the season, I believe it is next week on Tuesday, 2 weeks from now, Tuesday the 7th, versus Sacred Heart. They'll be the first game of the year. So if anybody is in the Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts area and wants to watch absolutely top quality women's basketball, Thomas M. Ryan Center at 6 p.m. Tuesday the 7th against Sacred Heart. But Dee Dee, I appreciate it endlessly, the fact that you were able to take some time to come speak with me today. And just, again, thank you for coming on, and just thank you for choosing URI. You've been here for a few months, and I'm already loving the fact that I've been able to meet someone like you. This is just fantastic.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. Anything you need from me, I'm here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. We will be back next week. Still going to sort out a guest. Going to try and find someone that could possibly top this. I don't really know. I strive for better and better every week, but we might be plateauing out after this one. But again, everybody, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next week.